Hey everybody, hello. It's so good to be back with you. Wow, thank you so much for being here on the live stream. Let me know where in the world you're from. In fact, I have a little request today. So my request to you today, wherever you are, hey everybody, wherever you are, I want you to think about where you are as a little pin drop, like a pin drop on the map. So imagine that we're looking at the world, we're looking at this beautiful planet that we live on, and you right now are a little pin drop upon the planet. And I want you to write in the comment section, anchoring love or anchoring light, whichever one you feel comfortable with, anchoring love or anchoring light from wherever you are. So in my case, I would say anchoring love and anchoring light from South Africa. But I'd love to hear where in the world you are anchoring light. And as we begin, let's begin like that. So let's begin with a huge waft of energy that just bursts through this live stream, that the live stream becomes a love stream, becomes a stream of consciousness that travels our planet, that infects our planet with love, with consciousness, with beauty. I want to then, now that I've made my request to you, thanks Juniper. Juniper says, anchoring light from Alberta, Canada. Anchoring love and light from Vancouver. That's Andrea. Hello, Andrea Horvath. Elizabeth from Florida. Hey, Eliza. Amel from France. Sarah Boyd from Washington. It's going, the screen's going really fast. I'm doing my best to keep up. Natalie Morehouse, Joburg, South Africa. Peter Panos, love from Galway in Ireland. Keep it going, keep it going. Every single one of you, you are a pin drop of light on the planet right now. Thank you to every single one of you who participated in the last live stream, which was an astounding, absolutely astounding event. It was the Golden Healing Chamber, the Golden Galactic Healing Chamber. It's a new technology that we have been blessed with based on the frequency that we are now operating at. We get reintroduced. Thank you to the Galactic Federation, who is supporting humanity wholeheartedly. They are cheering us on wholeheartedly. And part of that support is the reintroduction of the Golden Healing Chamber. And if you weren't somehow on that call, then please go and look at my playlist for live streams. You're going to find the Golden Healing Chamber. You could also just type it in search in YouTube. It should come up. Put my name next to it if it doesn't. Yes, anchoring love from the UK. Thank you, Jess. Hello, Kristen Dolan. Hello to Naz Light. Hello to Ture, who is anchoring love and light from Sweden. Thank you so very much to all of you who are coming in on the live stream. A special thank you to Lisa Leinen, who let me know that there was a glitch. Thank you. You always are my eyes and my ears. Lisa let me know that there was a glitch. Whoa, that was a fun one. I was supposedly supposed to be here an hour ago. My post said one time and YouTube said another time. So all sorted out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lighting up the planet with love. So keep reminding people in the comment section. I'm going to start speaking in a minute, and you guys know when I get on a roll, and I can't slow down. So please remind people in the comment section that every single one of them is a pin drop of light on the planet. And that my request to you all today is to put it in the comment section that you're anchoring love, or you're anchoring light, or you're anchoring love and light from wherever in the world you are today. And I wonder if you can start to feel that, because I certainly can. I certainly can. Oh my God, I've got to tell you the most touching, special, amazing, spectacular thing. So the other day, I was just going through some of my comments and thinking to myself, gee, you know, there's a lot of comments that I can't get back to here on YouTube, and I always want to, and it's just sometimes not humanly possible. But I thought, that's okay, I'm just going to read through them, you see, and I did. I started reading through the comments from the healing chamber that we did last week. Gosh, you guys go and read those comments. If you want hope for humanity, go read those comments. If you want to burst with love, go and read those comments, and I'll tell you why. As I was reading it, you know, it's like, whoever. I'm bringing my Uncle Bob and my Aunt Sandy and my nephew and my niece and whoever it is, right? So people mention the names of their loved ones that they're bringing into the healing chamber with them. But then they start saying, and I'm bringing in every human being who's ever struggled. I'm bringing in my whole human family. I'm bringing in the world. I'm bringing in humanity. I'm bringing in all the animals. I'm bringing in anybody who's having a bad day. I'm bringing in all the people of my country. I'm bringing in the government of my country. I'm bringing in anybody who's depressed right now. The outpouring of love for people that you know is beautiful, but the outpouring of love for people that you don't know is the most exquisite human attribute. And I mean it, the most exquisite human attribute. So you guys wowed me. You took my breath away and you filled my heart with love, and you reminded me of how special it is to be alive on this planet right now. So, yeah, as my dogs start barking in the background. There is an invisible perfection that weaves through your life. And that invisible perfection that weaves through your life is exactly that. It's invisible. But just because it's invisible doesn't mean that you can't feel it. And that's what I really want for each one of you today. I want you to be able to feel and tune into this invisible perfection that I'm speaking about, which is the golden thread. It's always present, and its job is to anchor you throughout every life you've ever lived, throughout all time, space, throughout all creation, throughout your multitude of lives, throughout the multitude of dimensions that you exist upon. There is this golden thread. It is an invisible perfection that weaves together not just you to your multidimensionality, not just you to your life in Peru and your life in Portugal and your life in the Pleiades and your life in Sirius, but every single human being, every single being, every single fragment of consciousness that is an individuated expression of the true source creator consciousness, every single one of them is connected through this golden thread of light. Now think about what that thread is touching, will you? Can you think about that right now? Can you think right now the golden thread that runs through you is touching your origin, which is God? That is your original home. And, you know, I've shared this so many times, but if you're new to my work, something that I care very much about is to eliminate the misconception that people have when they say, oh, I'm Pleiadian. Oh, I'm Atlantean. I'm Sirian. I'm Arcturian. There's a misconception of identification with a place, which is equal and equally as insane as me saying, I'm South African. And that's who I am. And then I could narrow it down to my little village and even my little street and even my house. And I could start identifying myself with my house, except I'm not my house. I'm not these four walls, as beautiful as they are. I'm not South African. It's where I live. It's not an identity. So then you've got to ask, okay, so if that's true, then what is the true identity? If identity is not the place that you're in or the place that you're at, what is your identity then? Well, your identity, your core essence of who you are is God. Source, creator, that is the ultimate I am. It's the ultimate truth of your I amness. So that golden thread touches the ultimate truth of your point of origin. But that golden thread connects you throughout every life you've ever lived, throughout space, throughout time. That golden thread runs through you in this exact moment. And it connects you in this exact moment just through the cognizance of what we're speaking about here. It connects you in this exact moment to your origin as an individuated consciousness that landed up here. So this is jogging your celestial and your cosmic memory. And it's bringing you back and allowing you a recollection, literally, to think about this. Think about how literal the word recollect is. We think of it as remember, which it is, but it's also collecting, like picking the pieces up of you that are sitting like fragments on this golden thread, on this timeline, because that's what the golden thread ultimately is, isn't it? It is a timeline that your consciousness has spanned from your initiation, your point of origin, to what we could say as now. That's the best way that we could understand where the golden thread ends, and of course you know it end, but where the other end of the golden thread is, you could understand it as now. But something magical happens when you recollect. The memory of the golden thread and all that is attached to it, as you recollect the pieces, the fragments of you from the multitude of lives that you've lived, as you recollect this, the invisible perfection begins to bring you back and collate you back into your wholeness and remind you of who you really, really are. In essence, it brings you back to your origin. And I want you to just to sit with this for a moment. I want you to sit and feel with me for a moment the glory of that, the splendor of that. So I'm looking down at my phone this exact moment. Can you hear my dogs barking in the background? Because I can. And I'm sending a message to my husband. Yeah, saying, honey, please. I love those dogs so much, but God, they bark. Anyway, the golden thread that binds you, that tethers you. Now, here's something astounding and amazing. I want to share this with you about the golden thread. And if you let it really permeate, this is going to be one of the most revolutionary things you're ever going to hear. How many times in your life have you ever heard somebody say, oh, you need to ground? You need to be grounded, you know, like to the earth. You need to be grounded. Interesting, isn't it? How that word also denoted punishment, but nonetheless, you know, in your childhood, you were grounded. So many times, no doubt, you've heard the concept of needing to be grounded. But there's a kind of a limited feeling that happens when you're grounded. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be grounded. I'm saying that there's an alternative to what we thought of as grounded, and let's rather use the word connected. Connected is really the word, isn't it? Connected to earth. Yes, you are connected to earth in physical form. But instead of focusing on this idea of being so grounded to earth, I want you to think of that golden thread as running right through earth, to your point of origin, and it brings you, it anchors you into your now. So can you see how you are so stabilized? Can you see how you are so beautifully tethered to God's source creator, which ultimately means what? It means you can't sway too far. Can you see how that becomes a new groundedness for you? Can you see how, thanks, Chrisanne, the dogs are celebrating the solstice. I appreciate that, my love. Can you see how this golden thread becomes your connection to your wholeness? It becomes a new expanded groundedness that is, in fact, an anchoring into your truth, because that's what God's source consciousness is, right? It's your truth. Happy solstice, everyone. This is the best way that I could spend solstice with all of you, remembering who you are. Yeah. That's awesome, Mr. Floyd. Hello to you. I felt that as an amazing way to ground, amazing energy. Yeah. Can you feel, for those of you who can just feel things as I describe them, you can connect to how beautifully stabilizing that is, right? You can connect to how exquisite that feels to have your awareness of that golden light run through you, through this moment, through the planet, through every single fragment of every single incarnation until it reaches source consciousness. And here's the amazing thing, because time and space, guys, please remember this. Time and space is perfectly malleable. Time and space is not measurable and literal in the way that we think it is in third dimensional consciousness. People often ask me this question. They say, Kerry, what is 4D? Because you always speak about 5D. So what the hell is 4D then? 4D is the place where we go to that's very similar to 3D, but there's one primary difference, and that is time and space. For want of a better way of describing it, time and space act weird. They act weird because they stop being predictable. They stop being measurable. They stop being logical. They stop being linear. They start being quantum. So when you dream and you dream that you're in Antarctica, and then a second later in that dream, you dream that you're in Egypt at the pyramids picking up a scarab beetle. There was no time and distance. You were just there. That's 4D. That's a 4D concept. Now, I share this with you so that you can draw on that 4D memory, because you are 4D and 5D and 60 and 7D and beyond. You are all of those things. So you already have this information encoded into you. You've just got to reach out of the brain to find it, to feel for it. Ah, there it is. It's in the golden thread. It's in the golden thread that tethers you to consciousness, to God, source consciousness, and it is not measurably long. In fact, now this is where it gets really good. In fact, when you think about it, that golden thread could be very, very short. Can you feel that with me? Can you feel how you could consider that golden thread, in fact, being beautifully compact? Can you feel then how very close you are, Mr. Floyd? Let me know, because I know that you're feeling things with me. Can you feel how, as you compact that golden thread, how close you are? Yes, I know you can. Not just Mr. Floyd. I can feel you guys as I'm speaking to you. I know that you're getting this. I'm so proud of you guys. I know that you're able to feel this. And that is this closeness to wholeness, to God, to source, to consciousness, right? We know here that we're living in an illusion. We know that. But when we get how very small this illusion has been, and how very infinite the broad field of creation actually is, we're going to start getting really exhilarated for the thrill, for the absolute thrill of this experience, right? Oh, that's such a nice one. Laura says it's coming shorter like a mechanical tape measure and it returns to source. Yeah, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much. There was another lovely comment. Hey, Carlos, I think it was from you. This is exactly how I see us being part or attached or anchored to God's source. Aha, lovely. Used to explain it as those electricity lamps that you touch. Oh yeah, that's such a good visual. Listen to that. I used to explain it as those electricity lamps that you touch, and the electricity follows your fingers, the Tesla plasma ball lamp. Yes, yes, yes. Great visual. Thank you, and thank you again. Mr. Floyd says, I just shot an energy rod through my chakras. Wow. I'm crying, I'm shaking. I got you, Mr. Floyd. I got you. We're with you, and we're doing this together because humanity, we're waking up together. And I say this I say this because there are so many of you who think, but I'm awake. But guess what happens when you wake up? You wake up more. There are degrees of waking up. And then you're going to look at yourself, and this is where it gets exciting. Not defeatist, exciting, where you get to look at your life and go, oh my gosh, every day I'm expanding more and awakening more. It's so very enthralling. It's so truly magical, this journey, and so truly wondrous that as awake as you are in this moment, you know that in a few moments from now, you can be so much wider awake, so much more conscious, in other words, that you would look at where you are right now and go, oh, that was asleep. That was asleep. Now, some people don't like that. I know some people don't like that because their ego wants them to be awake as if that's a destination. It's not a destination. It's an ongoing process. Awakening is an ongoing process. So there is this invisible perfection that weaves through your life. And you know when you notice it the most? You notice it the most when there is synchronicity. It's like, you've all had this, right? Where you go to the shopping center and you find the perfect parking and you pop right into the mall and they've got everything you're looking for and it's on special. And then you get into your car and the phone rings at the perfect time and it's the friend you wanted to listen to. You know that the moments when life just flows, it flows, baby, flows, and it zings and it sings and you're in this synergy with life. That means that you're feeling the golden thread. You're feeling that golden thread running through you. We have a name for that. And we say, synchronicity is happening. Synergy, synchronicity. I'm in sync with life. I'm in flow with the universe. And we long. We long for that place. And I want to show you right now how you can reconnect to that place no matter where you are in your life. There's a very simple statement that I want to share with you, and my Plasma Light Tribe, you guys are going to smile at this because I shared with my Plasma Light Tribe a very powerful one just this last Friday. Here's another one. By the way, if you're in the Plasma Light Tribe, drop me a hello. Tell me that you are a Plasma Tribe member. I'd love to hear from you. They're my membership community, and we meet every Friday. They're amazing people, and they are worth getting to know and joining us at the Plasma Light Tribe. Here's the simple statement. The simple statement is, everything just works out. Everything just works out. I want to remind you of that truth right now. I want to remind you that no matter what's going on in the world right now, everything has this habit, doesn't it? Look back at your life with me right now. Look back at your life and you'll see how everything just works out. So think about this. Think about the moments where you thought, oh my God, how am I going to get through this month? I don't have enough money. Or how am I going to get through this breakup because I'm just suicidal and broken and I don't want to carry on another day? How am I going to get through? You know those moments, you've had them, whatever they are for you. Maybe it's monetary, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's something else. But you've all had those moments where you say, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And you actually think, I might not get through this. But you have, and you do. And somehow everything just works out. Somehow everything just works out. That's what I really want you to know. And if you use that statement, the statement being, everything just works out. And it's not words. Please don't waste your time with empty words. This is not about empty words. This is about a truth. That in your life, everything has this remarkable way that no matter what happens, it just works out favorably because you're still alive, right? And it might have been 10 years ago that you thought, I'm not going to get through this, but look at you now. You not only did you get through it, you've flown, you've succeeded since the last time that you said that, even if it was this morning. Everything does. It's the absolute truth. Now you could say, yeah, but my life is not meant to look like this. The world is not meant to look like this. And I would say to you, yep, it looks kind of crazy. I would agree with you. But I would say to you, when you start saying, you know, it wasn't meant to be this way, my life wasn't supposed to look like that. When you say things like that, what you're doing is you're building up a rejection of your reality or a resistance to what is. And when you do that, you will cripple your growth. You will paralyze your consciousness because why? You've gone into resistance. You're saying, I don't approve of this reality. So now you're fighting with the reality, and that's the quickest way to not change. That's the quickest way to get stagnant. So instead, I want you to look at the idea that it was meant to be exactly like this, even though I couldn't see that. My life was meant to be exactly like this exact set of imperfection that's in front of me right now. That is exactly what life was meant to look like. It might not be what I wanted, but it sure is what that golden thread knew I needed, because why? The golden thread is a pathway back to God, back to source consciousness. The golden thread brings you back home. It weaves you throughout creation and returns you. It restores you to your wholeness, but it returns you to your point of origin, to God's source consciousness. That is flow. That is you recognizing the flow of your life, and you recognizing, you know, when we say, well, there's a higher plan for me. What is the higher plan? The higher plan is the golden thread, because the golden thread is God. You see, each one of us, when we undertook incarnation, when we undertook individuation from the great grand collective source consciousness, when we undertook to do this, every single one of us did it on the agreement that a piece of God, a part of God, that pure original source consciousness, the purest, most supreme creator, would come with us. That is what the golden thread is. The golden thread is that part of God's source consciousness illuminating your pathway. And what you're doing right now is you're having your attention be brought back to that so that you can realign with it. So that you can look at your life and you can go, oh, but it's exactly right. It was exactly meant to be this way. That is the invisible perfection. So when someone hurts you, when someone leaves you, when someone tears you down, when someone hurls abuse at you, when you feel meaningless and worthless and inadequate and ignored, even when you feel small, when you feel foolish, when you feel like you don't know the answers and you don't know what you're doing, there is an invisible perfection that courses through your life, even then. Even then, especially then. So this invisible perfection, this golden thread, is pure God, source, creator consciousness that is journeying with you. But what happens when you align with it? What happens when you see it, when you seek it and you see it, and you come out of resistance and into pure flow? When that happens, when that switch over happens, anything you see amplifies. And now that golden thread goes, yeah, finally we work together. And then you start realizing not only does life always work out, it's working out right now. It is working out right in this exact moment. And that's why I asked you all in the very, very beginning. Leave a comment with your name and your country, the place that you're in right now. Remember that you are a pin drop of light upon the planet, and you're anchoring in love, you're anchoring in light. The whole planet is lighting up right now. As we come together in this moment, even if you're listening on the replay, you are still in this moment. This is a timelessness. This is a timeless moment, and you are a part of the network of light that is anchoring in this reconnection, recollection of all the fragments of self so that you have access once again to direct God's source consciousness. Direct. There are so many people. Oh my God, there are so many people that have asked me throughout my life. It's probably the most asked question. And that question is, hey, Kerry, how do you know what you know? How do you know what you know? Because I have always, and I don't know why, and I don't know how, but I have always been acutely aware of this stream of light. And I speak to it, and it speaks to me. This golden thread, whether you see it as a pathway of consciousness, or you see it as an illuminated channel of consciousness, however you envision that thread that weaves through your life, it is direct access to pure God source consciousness. And beings who are 5D are just learning how to do that. Beings who are 7D, they live there. That's very much 7D behavior. 7D beings only know that as a means of connecting to themselves, only know that as a means of connecting, of making sense of themselves in the world. It is only through that thread of golden consciousness. That is the whole feedback system. And whilst I don't know why and how, other than it was an agreement, I've always had access, sometimes more, sometimes less, but I've always had access, even when I was a child, to this golden thread. And I've never really been nudged to share about it because it was never the right time, nor was it something humanity was ever ready for. And how do I know when humanity is not ready for something? When they ask questions like, here's a very typical one. So what do I do with this thread, Kerry, when I get it? What do I do with it? You see, that's a really good way to tell, well, you're not quite ready for it because you don't do anything with the thread, with the golden thread, other than feel into it, connect to it, breathe with it, let it feel into you whilst you feel into it, so that you can realign, reconnect to truth, to source, to pure consciousness. And yes, humanity is very ready for that. Every single one of us is ready to align with that 7D consciousness that begins to make sense of the world through the connection to source. And yes, Savannah, you would call that an inner knowing. Absolutely. Right. Thanks so much, Lisa. Please feel free to just block people who leave inappropriate messages. I do appreciate that. Thank you. We are here as maybe I need to do it on my side. Let's just see. Sorry, we've got somebody in the comments section. There we go. I just need to remove people. So yeah, Lisa or Kristen, if you see people who are leaving inappropriate comments, please feel free to remove them. This really isn't the place. There is an invisible perfection even in that, because what does that show you? What does that show you when we see that kind of inappropriate behavior? It's so easy to look at it and go, oh, there's somebody on the comment section leaving inappropriate comments and doing inappropriate things. It's so easy for us to go into resistance, or we could see the golden thread, because what does that do? So many things. They don't realize it. But when trolls come into the live stream, they have no way of knowing what they're doing. They have no way of knowing that what they're actually doing is bringing their density into a place of light. It's kind of like dipping your toe into the water, right? But then what happens when you go out of the water? Because you're probably going to be booted out pretty soon. And as you're booted out of the water, what happens? you're taking some of that gold with you. You're taking some of that consciousness with you. And pretty soon you're going to start annoying yourself, because you're going to go, but I'm a troll. You know, maybe I'm paid to be a troll, or maybe I'm just bored and pretty miserable. And this is, God, can you imagine if that was you? But anyway, just imagine if that was you, that you're that bored and that you're that miserable, and that you would go into somebody else's live stream just to talk nonsense. You're going to start annoying yourself when you start realizing, what's going on with me? I don't feel like being an idiot today. What's going wrong with me? I don't feel like speaking smack to somebody today. I feel like being kind. I feel like being loving, right? You're allowed to find the invisible perfection even when it's not obvious. Even when it looks like life has just suddenly gotten really, really hard. When somebody's banging at your door and they're abusive, when somebody's misunderstanding you, when somebody's bringing their arrogance to you, whatever it might be, you know? So it's really, really important, each one of you here, that you allow yourself to remember, to recollect the powerful truth of who you are. And whilst you do that, remember that gorgeous statement about life, that it just works out. And it's working out right now. And we as humanity are working all of the density out of our system. We're working all of the density out of ourselves. And as we do that, we see it. We see it and it looks annoying. We see it and we think, God, don't you have a life or something to do, or whatever the case might be? Give yourself that moment. Give yourself that moment of acknowledgement that there is still some invisible perfection working right now, even when it doesn't seem obvious. Because here's the thing that I notice about light bearers in general, light beings in general. The thing that I notice about them is they get one little wobble, like one or two trolls come in, or somebody starts speaking badly about them. I notice how they get derailed so easily and so quickly. And I want you to remember, but wait a minute. I've got that golden thread that runs from me, through me, directly to God's source consciousness. And it calls unto itself the power of that supreme God consciousness. It calls light unto itself. There's your stability. Remember, I spoke about groundedness earlier, and I said, yes, you're grounded to earth, but earth is part of that golden thread. It's part of that greater anchoring that many of you have never seen. So when you're quick to wobble, allow yourself to feel into that beautiful ease, that beautiful connection, the reconnection to that golden thread, right? So you touched my heart today, and I hope that this conversation has touched yours. I hope that it has brought you some means of understanding life from a higher perspective, from a more 7D perspective, that you can see how you are actually always tuned in, you are actually always connected. When that happens, you stop paying so much attention to the little wobbles and you start seeing the bigger picture, right? And when you start holding the bigger picture and you start remembering yourself as that beacon of golden light, then you can let go of everything else. I call it the story. You can let go of that bloody story, finally. And you can start to see what really matters, what's really important, who you really are. you can start to let go of everything else, because it really doesn't matter. It never did. It never did. We just thought that it did. We thought all of the story, we thought that it was important. Why? Because we took our identity from it. It's the same as in the very beginning of today's conversation. I say to you, you are not your country of origin. You're not your home. You're none of your past lives. These are just stories. And when you can realize that they're just stories, you can watch them falling away from the golden pathway, the golden thread. And you can start to remember, but I am this divine golden being of light and consciousness, because you are. Then life starts making sense again. Come play with the Plasma Light Tribe. If you've enjoyed this conversation, come and join us on a Friday. That's when things get really hot and heated and beautiful and filled with divinity and gorgeous love in a way that humanity is so ready for right now. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you so much. I love you lots, and I'll speak to you really soon. Share this with a friend. Go ahead, share this video with a friend. If you know somebody that this is going to uplift them, share it with them.